This is the only thing that matters in the entire world and planet. Not this life matters or that life matters. It's that everybody gets a cold crew whiskey beer in their hand. So, um, if I were to say every American is an idiot, would I get a bunch of thumbs up? So I'm not sure, but we're going over alcohol content. I thought I'd do alcohol content for the breweries in here. Why? Because like I said, it matters. It matters to you. It matters to me. It matters to everybody. What is in our beverages? When I go, does it matter to you if you're going to go buy a Budweiser or a Busch or a Rolling Rock or any different type of particular brewski? Matters to me. At a particular point in time in my venture today to the store, I just thought of, hey, why don't we check the alcohol contents of the brews? So here's the beer brewski that I'm stuck on right now. Is Pabst Blue Ribbon. It's the kind I prefer to drink if I do drink beer. I like that. I like Budweiser. Um, I like that a couple other beers that will probably run across, and I'll let you know when those point in times come. And I have a different type of brew kind of today. I wanted to show this brew off right here. This one that I picked up before I found the 4-pack of Pabst because I wasn't sure that they had it or not. I went and looked for the alcohol content, and I found it right here in this Budweiser looking type of um, beer right here. It says Natural Daddy. Natural Daddy has a 8.8% alcohol content in a 25-ounce can beer for about $1.60. I was considering buying the Rolling Rock. When I looked at the Rolling Rock, I seen that it was about it was like it was pretty inexpensive. I'm not gonna call it a cheap beer. I'm not gonna call any beer cheap because I like them all, from the finest ones to the suckiest ones. I like them all. I don't get bitter beer face, but the Rolling Rock content, it says the beer that I grabbed first says it has a 4.5 alcohol content, and it's really right at 4.4, and that's what's on the label. So let's look at different beers. Alcohol content. Here it is. Well, let's do the share because I'm a little bit illiterate and I want you guys to see just how screwed up my grammar is today. So here you're doing the search, different beers, alcohol content, go. Okay, Busch, 4.6. You gotta consider that this is a rough estimate. So they're gonna give you a tad bit more um, in the amount. So they're gonna say 1 pint, it's 25 full ounces, but it can be varying just a tad bit over 25 full ounces, or let's say like this Pabst I'm drinking is a 16 fluid ounce. We'll say that there's just a tad bit over 16 ounces in that one. In each one, however many ever ounces the thing says, that's what you get by volume. We have Busch. That's what we've been drinking a lot of too lately, and it's actually you can say that that's as low as it's saying 4.6%, but I can show you on a can right now that it says 4.4 on the can. There's Busch Ice, so we're getting more into the higher content alcohols. I don't know how I'm going to be able to express the taste of this beer unless I actually do a share. Open it. This is the the Natty Daddy is what it's called. Sorry, Natty. See, I told you it was illiterate. Well, not that illiterate, just enough to show how ambidextrous I am. Is that right? Ambidextrous? No, it's dyslexic. Sorry, I'm ambidextrous. Like I use both hands, but I'm also dyslexic as well. I got some other stuff they said I had, but um, uh, not that ignorant whenever it comes to figuring out which brew I want to have. So let's take a taste. Whoa, that is potent. I am not going anywhere after that. I maybe have been able to have gone somewhere after one of these 16 ounces, but I truly try not to drive a vehicle unless I've only had 12 ounces. And that's only one beer. And I always maintain a steady posture of trying to wait an hour or longer when I have one beer. And that is some patience right there. You have to have some serious patience in order to have one beer and sit there for an hour and a half, 2 hours until you're sober to leave. But I respect people walking on the street, driving in their cars, and other stuff like that. So I would hope that my conscience would still be there if I was drunk or inebriated. That's why I kind of like don't understand the inebriation part of the law. Like the law, if you get arrested or something like that, I'm fully for people getting arrested for DUIs because I think from my own personal self, and I guess it could be different from other people, but I would say I'd have no excuse if I drove a car drunk. That I totally get what I deserve. If I went to jail and got processed and everything else. So here we are. We're not looking at Rolling Rock in particular. We're looking at we're trying to look at on the web at different beers. Let's see. Alcohol and calories. So we pretty much got Budweiser out of the way, and I'm gonna add that I'm pretty sure that the Budweiser, if you're having a regular Budweiser, it's 5.5% alcohol, not 4.5% like the Busch beer is. So you get a little bit with the cheaper beers. Um, you're you're definitely getting what you pay for is what I'm trying to say. You pay a little bit more for the Budweiser over the Busch, but still, who's complaining? Who's complaining? If you have some beers, so different beers. So we'll say category of beers alcohol content. Because this is kind of interesting. I kind of I looked at that when I went down there to the store just now, and I was looking at all of the different beers because that's what I was going to pick. I couldn't find the Blue Ribbon right off the bat until the gentleman, when I went to cash out, had to come back to the back and show me where it was. They only sell them in a 4-pack. They don't sell Blue Ribbon in a half pack like I was looking for. Out in Oregon, where I'm from, I could get a half pack, 12 pack of Pabst Blue Ribbon 12-ounce cans. Pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure that I can get a case of that stuff too out there. I don't know if you have to go to a, not a brewery, maybe going if you knew where a brewery was, that might help. But I think that if you went to maybe a liquor store or something like that, they might have it. But you go to different grocery stores, and I haven't seen Pabst Blue Ribbon in a half pack in a half case or a case. So, and again, that's what I prefer to drink right now. If I'm trying to like budget a little bit and I want to get just something that my taste buds are used to and I'm familiar with, that's the beer for me, is Pabst. And I am fond of Budweiser, Bud and Bud Light, but I usually drink Budweiser on occasion. And if you were able to ask somebody, they would tell you that I normally would drink one beer, like I said, like that, and that's it. But now I'm kind of considering drinking a lot more because as long as you can maintain and you're not a, a total prick about it, you know, how much censoring should I have on this video? It's about beer. I'm gonna try and censor it as best as I could. I try to talk about it as normal as everybody else does. So, um, anyways, the visible guide here. We're looking for a visible guide for beer and alcohol contents. See, after this is where is this? Homebrewmanual.com. Beer alcohol content, ABV style. So this is a visual guide to beer alcohol content. After previous charts describing bitterness, yeah, now remember the bitterness, gravity, and coldure, I've decided to continue my exploration of the BJCP style guide. This time I'm looking at beer alcohol content. And I would like to show this. I'm going to do this screen share to show you that this guy was doing the exact same thing I was just doing just a second ago, and that's how I got this Natty Daddy. Remember I said as nasty as it is, I still like it. I'm not gonna crap on your beer for it making my face look a little bit ugh. Or puke and then get mad at you either. So anyways, let's read this. Let's read this. So it says, I want to be honest and confess that I'm generally not interested in the alcohol content of homebrew. Yeah, on the same exact page that I'm on today. In normal life, I'm normally not. Okay, provided it's more or less within range, I'm happy. Other than approximate checks to make sure a session bitter isn't 8% or that a barley wine isn't watery, I'm not too bothered. I imagine many of you are the same. However, in the spirit of com- complete completeness, I've continued to investigate the BJCP numerical guide to beer, aka the style guide. Previously, I've covered bitterness, original, and fine gravity in beer collier. The BJCP guide contains descriptions and statistics for all categorized beer styles. In some ways, it's unrealistically pre- precise. On the other hand, it's a way of comparing and contrasting different brews from around the world. Now, I just want to look real quick. English alcohol content. OE. I'd like to look at the image real quick. Haha, because that's what I used to drink, dog. I used to drink this, and there was that other one that they had too. They battled each other. We used to drink this shit and we used to get freaking tossed beside ourselves. We would hey dude it or whatever. And this right here, look at that Mickey's right there. Mickey's. We used to drink the Big Mouse, Mickey's Big Mouse, and we've also had Mickey 64s. I'm not trying to encourage underage drinking or anything, but we were 16. We were 16 years old. That was a long time ago, and it was in Roseburg, Oregon. Roseburg, Oregon. That place is a lot of fun. It has a lot of hectic other things like small town BS stuff that will go on, but if you're in a place that's dull, you have to put your heads together and come up with something good for yourselves and go out and have fun. Have some honest fun. Look out for other people. Don't be trying to be shifty to other people. We want a cool environment. We want everybody to be comfortable and do what they're gonna do. We would prefer people to be straight, not into any of this stuff at all. But there's nothing I can do about it. There's really not. Old English 800 East Coast. I'm from the West Coast, so West Coast 7.8. There it is. That's our old English, and we didn't drink this high gravity stuff. We drank the old West Coast regular old English, old E, and we weren't rolling the old E until Easy E. The guy you seen right here, until Easy E had the 8 ball rolling. As soon as he had the 8 ball rolling, then we were puffing tough. And looks like it's legal to recreationally use marijuana out there. And I was recreationally using it for a medical condition. I had scoliosis really bad. My spine was out of whack, and um, I believe that I used the stuff like an intense treatment, and I overdid it. More so, to the point where I wasn't really enjoying it. I was enjoying it, but I also used it as a treatment, like say chemotherapy. When a doctor gives you chemotherapy, he pumps you with that stuff. So when I had my medical marijuana license in Oregon in 2001, I pumped myself with the stuff to see if, because there was a short window of time, I wanted to see what it would do to my condition at the time. And believe it or not, whatever it was that I did should ought to be documented because my spine is straight. It is straight. I don't have scoliosis anymore. So anyhow, the 8-point content is kind of nasty. We'll go back to this article. I just had to go look at that 8 ball real quick because I'm so fond of it. We drink it and Mickey's Big Mouths and Mickey's 40s and stuff all the time. Just having a lot of fun, and we weren't nasty and mean people about it. We totally rocked and had a lot of fun. So um, kudos to Roseburg, Oregon, and the fun times that we had there. Everybody's got police everywhere you go, and they got to try to maintain order and run people down and arrest people or whatever they got to do. And we've got to do what we've got to do to keep from getting arrested and to not getting in any more deeper trouble than say we might get caught at the time or try not to get caught at all. So, anyways, let's finish this little article. I think this is a good article before I back up and then go to something else. So, here we are. Okay, Provided it's more or less within range, I'm happy, other than approximate checks to make sure a session bitter isn't 8% or that a barley wine isn't water. I imagine many of you are the same. However, in the spirit of completeness, I've continued to investigate the BJCP numerical guide to beer, aka the style guide. Previously, I've covered bitterness, original and final gravity, and beer collier. Okay, now I know I'm covering some of this other stuff, but it's actually, I'm gonna say it, it's not, it is boring to you thinking, but not in reality. Reading something twice actually only helps you um, get the gist of what they're saying even more. So, anyways, continue. The BJCP guide contains descriptions and statistics for all categorized beer styles. In some ways, it's unrealistically price, unrealistically precise. So you get that, like I was explaining at the beginning, that what they're saying there isn't necessarily right on what the label says exactly. So there's a contrast in different brews from around the world, contrast in what they're actually saying about the stuff. I don't think about beer in such metic. What is that? Meticulous. It says meticulous. Meticulous terms, but the guide is a useful starting point when planning a brew. It suggests type of beer and combinations of ingredients that you possibly hadn't considered before, and often opens up new avenues of beer exploration. So the beer exploration that I'm actually thinking of right here, stopping right here, is actually making beer at home. Now I'm thinking of, now how am I going to make my own beer? You know, it has to be not what people out in public want. It has to be brewed according to the taste of beer that I prefer. So maybe you do some research on the the particular brew that you would buy. If you go and buy a certain kind of beer brand, then you can look up maybe different ingredients or suggestions on what can go into your own brewery. But I'm not realistically considering doing that. I'm doing this right here to show. I thought it'd be a good video, and I'm showing what I would prefer to be looking for and to buy. So we're gonna get to the gist of um, the of purchasing alcohol, not brewing it yourself. Okay, to round off the series, I'm going to use the guide to design a beer recipe from scratch. Check back soon. Alcohol and beer. Alcohol is one of the beer ingredients that we think least about, perhaps because it's not something added, but magically produced. The basic premise of beer making is that yeast convert sugar and wort to alcohol and CO2 in a process known as fermentation. Exactly. It's good to know if you go to the big house. If you go away, if you if you get convicted and you go to prison, you probably want to read this guy's report. You probably want to see this video. Probably want to research a little bit on how you can make your little wine while you're in there. It sounds kind of nasty, but I bet you it'd work out for you. The reason this works is because it takes advantage of the reproductive process of yeast. In order to multiply, they take in sugar, naturally producing gas and alcohol as they go. They expand in numbers quickly, which explains why fermentation is a vigorous activity and why relatively little yeast is needed to ferment a full batch of home brew. After consuming all fermented sugar, the yeast drops to the bottom of the fermentation stops. The not the in winemaking, the amount of alcohol reaches levels where yeast can no longer live. Beer making, however, is usually limited by the number of fermented sugars in a particular wort. To make extra strong alcohol drinks, additional techniques are used. For instance, distillation in whiskey making, which concentrates the alcohol through the process of evaporation. Now, I'm just gonna stop sharing real quick. We'll come back. We'll come back to this. I'm gonna put that at the top. Alcohol and homebrew. I just wanted to say real quick that not everybody knows this, but to be kind of against, like trying to help a situation out on making it known so people don't act like you're weird or something like that, or it's a weird thing. But I want to let people know that when the alcohol comes will evaporate out of a beer, if you leave a beer open for a period of time, 24 hours, the alcohol content is coming out. And if somebody abuses an alcohol, you can make it not be like in vain to go to waste. You can actually, I know a little bit about plants. I'm a horticulturalist, so I would suggest taking the beer that somebody wasted, shaking it up, and dumping it out on one of your favorite plants. Don't drown the plant with it. Just spread it out nice and even from, me, I do crops of, like right now I got crops of eggplants that are about this high right now. And the whole plant is healthy. So I'm booming in eggplants. Instead of getting an eggplant, a full developed eggplant in 12 weeks, I'm getting a fully developed eggplant in probably about 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks, and that's it. I don't have, I didn't have that much time that I didn't see go by while I was developing a lot of these eggplants that produced, and they were big and they were nice. Probably could have let them grow a little bit longer if I wanted to, but they produced in a shorter amount of time than what they say because I feed them a lot of nutrients. I've got a special nutrient from other plants that I'm using to put on them right now for a pesticide, and that's a pesticide is a vitamin. It's a type of vitamin soap, dish soap. And then I have I've been feeding them processed uh, chicken manure that I process on my own myself. And then other than that, if I waste a beer, if I'm drinking and I leave a little bit in a beer, I don't tend to just dump that out somewhere in the ground somewhere, unless I'm thinking about my dead friend. Unless I'm like sad and I'm like, this is for my dead homies, then it's a different story. Um, I tend to use that because the malt and the barley in the beer is good for the plants. So don't let the stuff go to waste. Keep it up. Okay, so alcohol in beer is measured precisely in laboratories. You can also estimate it at home by taking gravity readings during the brew. No, I'm sure I'm reading what I'm reading. I'm just having a hard time because it just it's hard for me to read stuff whenever it's not someone familiar with, and it's not as logic as I thought it would be. Of course, if you're learning something, you're gonna learn something new, right? You're not gonna learn something that you already knew. So, but that's what's tricking me out right now is the logic. So, anyways, just before you pitch the yeast into the fermenter on brew day, use a hydrometer to measure the original gravity. This will tell you the amount of sugar in the wort. Then, just before bottling the kegging, take another reading. This will give you the final gravity. If the fermentation has worked, there will be less sugar with alcohol and gas in its place. Using these two numbers, original and final gravity, you can approximately determine the alcohol content by referring to a chart such as this one here. Right, I have no other choice, but I'm going to have to put this link on the video now. I don't want to read any more of this because it's it's interesting, but it's going off the chart from what I'm trying to get to. See, unless this guy had a list of American beers, alcohol beer is usually expressed as percent by weight. Okay, how do you say this? List beers sold U.S. Not German, list of beers in U.S. And again, American beers. I don't want to use Wikipedia. Sorry, Wikipedia. I don't really feel like using your Wikipedia. Sorry. 100 American craft beers beer lovers should drink. The 20 most popular beers in America. Top 250 beers. We'll say list of average beers in the U.S. by content. Canadian beer versus American beer. I don't really like the Canadians right now. I'm upset with the Canadians right now because I seen a video where they were mistreating Native American people up there. They were treating them terribly. They were throwing rocks at their vehicles when they're driving by. And for some reason, Canadians hate Native Americans. And the lady said it. I'm sure she was right that they didn't just throw the rocks just to throw them and try to break their glass. They tried to throw them to kill those people. So I'm a little bit disappointed. A little bit. I'm enough disappointed in Canada to where I don't really want to look at them. But here's American beer. So this is basically what we wanted to see. Budweiser 5.0. Then you go to the Busch, like I said, it's really 4.4 or 4.3, like the Bud Select there. Then we have Coors 5.0. Why am I doing this? Because if you watch this video, it's gonna be key for whenever you go into buy this stuff. Remember, some of the flavor is down a little bit, like this Keystone to Keystone Light, because of the bitterness. So you have to keep in mind that whenever it's high like this, 5.0 from that 4.5, you'll have to try that beverage to see if you'll even like it. But I'm doing this because people, whenever they go out there and they're going shopping for this stuff, you need to know what the alcohol contents are of this stuff. So, all right, here's Canadian beers. Usually Canadian lager. Yeah, we didn't look at lagers either, did we? So this lager must be a pretty uh, common, popular brew up there. So it looks about average. They've got this one here that's Labatt Blue Dry, and they sell this one here in America. This beer is sold here, Canadian beers. So I'm not trying to get anybody to buy Canadian beers if they hate Native Americans or Native Indians or anything like that. People with dark skin, if they hate people with dark skin just for having dark skin, or whatever reason they're racist towards them, they hate them because whatever the effing reason. I do not suggest buying any of their Canadian crap. I'm not for it. But there you got it. Don't forget what I said. The East Coast is this much better from 6.0 basically is what you're gonna get. A 6.0 alcohol Old English here in a 40 ouncer, if they even sell that shit over here, to an 8.0. I swear to you, this 8.0 right here is I could have remembered was in the old E, the Old English, the old E was 8.0. But there's your video. I just wanted to go over there, go over that a little bit, put those thoughts in people's minds, and um, make people understand a little bit whenever they go buying alcohol, make them think a little bit of what they're getting into. But make sure you check out the selections and you know which brew you like for the alcohol content that it is. Because me, seriously, I'm going to have to drink this brew right here like a trooper. Because it's potent. It's potent. It's not the worst beer I ever had, but it is potent and it's going to take me a minute. So I'm going to let you go. Peace.